If you're thinking about building a new garden, there's some simple things to think about from the get-go. One of which is the garden is layered. So it's worth thinking about what those layers will be in terms of the planting. Now I'm talking about the greenscape rather than the hardscape of the rock and that sort of thing. I'm talking about the structure, the plant structure of the garden. The 3 layers are pretty simple. You've got a tree, some sort of a canopy layer. Now it doesn't have to be a big tree, but often you have a feature tree, give you some shade and gives you some scale, if you like, within the garden. In this case, we've got some tuckaroos at the front. There's a blueberry ash just behind me here. It's only young, it's only probably 600-700 high. That'll get to about 5 metres, so you'll get some height in that. You've then got a middle layer, which is a shrub layer. Now, there's little callistemons in here. There's Metrosideros behind me. So these are a Gymea lily. These are sort of 1 metre, maybe up to 2 metres. This little one here will only get to about probably 500-600 high. So you've got that middle layer, and then in some ways, most importantly, you've got a ground cover layer. So, and that is the one that people tend to forget. If you aren't necessarily a keen gardener and you don't like weeding, the best way to reduce all of that is to really have the garden well planted with a ground cover. Now you can see this one here, and you can't see all the way down there, but there's good ground cover for the next 20 metres, 30 metres down along this bank. And you'll virtually never see a weed in that. So the mulch is doing a good job. This is Midnight Vines. The mulch is doing a good job in keeping the water in and holding keeping the weeds at bay. But don't forget to put in a ground cover. It's one of the cheapest sort of plants that you're going to buy in the scheme of things. They'll cover the ground quickly. You get good aesthetics out of them. In this case, it's a limey one. Further down, there's a grey foliage one. You'll get flowers. You get a range of things. But don't forget that layer, because it's really important. And it actually is better to look at those layers rather than just having the bare third layer without the ground cover. So think about that structure in the garden. A canopy, and it doesn't have to be, it's not a rainforest canopy, it's just a feature tree that gives you some shade, gives you some scale. A middle layer, which is a mulch layer, which can give you some colour, some texture, brings in the birds, things like that. And then you've got the ground cover layer, keeps the weeds down, holds the water in. That's the basics of a garden.